Welcome, dear listener, you brave soul, to Whispers in the Dark. Prepare yourself, then, for a journey into the depths of the unspoken. Draw the curtains, dim the lights, and I recommend headphones. If you are truly brave enough, you may choose to subscribe to Whispers in the Dark. It is a simple pact between us. The Unseen Neighbor. Another Tuesday night, or maybe a Wednesday. The days blur when you spend too much time scrolling. My nightly ritual? Lying in bed, ignoring sleep, and losing myself in the digital drama of the Neighborhood Watch app. Nextdoor, essentially. Petty squabbles about recycling bins, complaints about loud teenagers, the usual suburban hum, until it wasn't. A new post. No picture, just text. From Concerned Citizen Sector 7. It read, "Has anyone else noticed their mail disappearing? Just a few letters here and there, been happening for a week. Very unsettling." My first thought? Package pirates. Annoying, but common. I almost scrolled past, but then another notification. A comment. This one was from Quiet Observer 93. "Yes. Not just my mail, my garden gnomes. They keep repositioning themselves. Every night, in a different impossible spot. I put them back. They move again. Help." Garden gnomes? Now, that was odd. I chuckled. Must be kids. Or a cat. Harmless. My thumbs hovered over the reply button. I almost typed, "teens being teens." But before I could, the screen suddenly went dark. Not off, just black. I waited, tapped the screen. The silence in my bedroom felt heavy. My eyes darted to the dark window overlooking my backyard. Just blackness, but then a flicker. A single, tiny white light in my neighbor's living room window. Mr. Henderson. Old man, always kept his lights on. But this wasn't his usual warm lamp. This was a cold, unblinking point, and it winked once, then vanished. The app immediately reappeared on my phone. Perfectly normal. The post was gone. Both of them. And my heart, which moments ago had been calmly observing suburban drama, was now hammering against my ribs because I hadn't laughed. Not this time. And if you want to know what else lurks in the quiet corners of our neighborhoods, hidden in plain sight, make sure to subscribe to Whispers in the Dark, because some neighbors are always watching. I tried to dismiss it. The flickering light, the app crash, the single cold wink from Mr. Henderson's window, just a string of coincidences. But the next day, the app was buzzing again, and the pattern, it started to stitch itself together. "Lost cat," read one post. "My mittens usually never leaves the yard. Gone without a trace." Another hour later, "My dog, Buster, just vanished from our fenced-in yard. No holes, no open gates." Pets disappearing. Not just running away, vanishing. The comments were full of sympathy, advice, but no answers. Just a collective shrug. "Cats wander, dogs get out." But these were vanishings. Too many, too sudden. Then came the landscaping posts. "My prize-winning hydrangeas, perfectly pruned yesterday, completely uprooted this morning. No footprints. Someone moved my entire rock garden. Every single stone. In the night." Not vandalism, not theft. Rearrangement. A bizarre, meticulous, and utterly silent redecoration. The community blamed teenagers, or bored neighbors, but what teenager rearranges a rock garden and leaves no trace? My mind kept going back to that single winking light. And the sounds. Late at night, when the suburb was truly quiet, I started hearing them. Not from my house, from the houses around me. A faint, rhythmic thump, thump, thump. Not footsteps. Too soft. Too deliberate. And sometimes a low, drawn-out scrape, like something heavy being dragged across concrete. It would last only seconds, then silence. My neighbors, of course, heard nothing, or claimed to hear nothing. They were sleeping soundly, while something else was active, just outside their windows, just outside mine. The pieces didn't fit the picture of a normal suburban life. They fit another picture, a much darker one. And I was the only one seeing the full frame, because something was here, something that wasn't human, and it was moving, always watching, and it was starting to feel very, very close. The disappearances, the rearrangements, the impossible sounds. My mind screamed for proof, for validation. I couldn't just keep scrolling and wondering. I needed to see. I needed to know. So, I set my own trap. I installed a new motion-activated camera. Not my obvious Ring doorbell. This was a tiny, almost invisible lens, tucked away in the shadows of my porch, aimed directly at my front yard, the very edge of my property, where the grass met the sidewalk, where the gnomes were moved, where the mail vanished. I checked the feed religiously. Hours of empty footage, just wind and shadows and the occasional stray cat, until last night. It was around 3 a.m. The feed was mostly black, just a faint glow of the distant streetlights, and then a flicker. Not the streetlights this time. A flicker on the ground. A subtle distortion in the grass. Like heat haze, but cold. It moved. Slowly. Rippling. And then a shadow. Not cast by anything. A shadow that simply deepened the existing darkness. It moved across my lawn, towards the hedge, towards the very spot where the gnomes had been rearranged. I leaned closer to the screen. My breath hitched in my throat. The shadow reached the hedge, and then it stopped. It didn't move past. It didn't go around. It just stopped. And then it began to change. The edges of the shadows seemed to ripple, to stretch, to thin, becoming long, too long. And then from the very center of that deepening black, 2 pinpricks of light glowing, a cold, malevolent blue, staring directly into the camera, directly at me. It saw me. It knew I was watching. And it was right there, in my yard. The camera feed went dead. My phone screen shattered. The glass spiderwebbing under my thumb. I didn't care. I just sat there, shaking, staring at the black window. It saw me. It knew. The thing in my yard, it was real. But what happened next? That was the true nightmare. I didn't sleep. Couldn't. The sun eventually rose, painting my living room in a sickly gray light. I walked around, checking every lock, every window, every shadow. Nothing. No trace. Just the lingering metallic scent of ozone in the air. That's when I saw it. On my coffee table. In a single, perfectly folded white napkin. It wasn't mine. I don't use cloth napkins. And it was folded in a way I'd never seen before. Precise. Geometric. Almost too perfect. And on its surface, drawn in what looked like dried mud, was that symbol. The one from the neighborhood app. The one from Concerned Citizen Sector 7. The one that appeared with the disappearing mail and the moving gnomes. I picked it up. It felt cold. Impossibly cold. And then I saw the writing on the underside. Scrawled in what looked like my own handwriting. It read, "Hello, neighbor. We've been watching you watch us." My blood ran ice cold. My handwriting, my own pen probably. It had been inside my house. It'd been here while I slept, while I watched its footage. It was learning. It was mimicking. It wasn't just observing from the outside. It was studying, and it was using my own tools, my own habits, my own identity against me. The thing in my yard wasn't just a monster. It was a perfect, unseen mimic, and it was already inside. The napkin, the handwriting, the message. It wasn't just a threat. It was a declaration. It was inside, and it was learning. Every shadow in my home became a potential hiding place. Every creak in the floorboards, a movement. Sleep was impossible. But the mimic, it wasn't done playing. I started barricading myself in my bedroom at night, piling chairs against the door, pushing the dresser in front of it. Futile, I knew. But I had to do something. And then the new games began. I'd leave a specific item on my nightstand. My keys. My watch. In the morning, they'd be gone, only to reappear hours later in an impossible place. My wallet inside the microwave, my glasses in the freezer, always in plain sight. Always just a little bit wrong. Then, the sounds in my house. They intensified, not just the subtle thumps from the outside. These were inside. Soft, wet squelch from the hallway. A faint rhythmic drip from the ceiling, even when there was no rain. And sometimes a low guttural growl from the crawl space beneath my living room, vibrating through the floorboards. I'd grab a flashlight, my heart pounding, but find nothing. Just the silence. A silence that felt like it was holding its breath. It was in my room last night. I woke up. Standing there. It touched me. It's inside. After it touched me, after it breached the last barrier, I knew. I knew what it was. I knew what I had to do. I had to warn them, the community, my neighbors, before it was too late, before it claimed them all. I rushed to the neighborhood app. My fingers flew across the keyboard. I typed everything: the vanishing mail, the moving gnomes, the pets, the rearranged gardens, the sounds, the symbols, the thing in my yard, the napkin, the touch. I poured out every terrifying detail, every shred of proof. I hit post and waited. The comments rolled in. Not the fear I expected, not the understanding.
"Are you okay, hun? Sounds like you need some sleep. Maybe lay off the true crime podcasts. My mail's fine. My gnomes are where I left them."
Then came Mr. Henderson, Concerned Citizen Sector 7. His post read,
"I think our neighbor might be going through some stress. Perhaps we should check in on them, offer some help. Maybe a nice, quiet visit."
I stared at that screen. Mr. Henderson. He never posted, never commented. Always the quiet one. In his post, it wasn't just concern. It was a suggestion, an invitation. And that single, cold, unblinking light from his window, it had winked. Not at me, but at the app, at the community. It wasn't just an unseen neighbor. It was the entire neighborhood. And I was the only one left. Watching, waiting for the knock at the door. If your sanity remains intact, hit subscribe below to complete the pact to hear more whispers in the dark.